Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Pezeshki. It's one of my favorite clients last session, and we just meditated together. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do a comprehensive review of main principles that I teach in my spiritual life coaching. So my friend Budito here also, his name is not Budito, that's a little nickname I gave to him. His name is Jordan. So Budito, which is small for Buddha within, like yoga, yogito, is like a little slang that I got for being a yogito, a little yogi. So I gave him the little Buddha. He's a Budito. Anyways, so I want to do a comprehensive review on the main principles that I teach, and this is just gonna be on site. Never thought about this doing it this way, but I want to do it because I know Jordan's gonna appreciate this. He knows what I'm doing, where I'm going with this. So first of all, when somebody comes, my work is very holistic, and but with being holistic, I always draw my. Let me just put this here, drrod26.com. So by being holistic means that I have my favorite copyrighted figure that I draw always in my seminars and with my friends and clients and everything. This is a copyrighted picture of my stick figure. He's chubby, he's got boobs, he's got hands too. It's kind of my own depiction. And I always say we are a paradox. The first principle that I teach is what is the paradoxical thinking in our universe? Our human body, our human being, just being a human being is a paradox. So the first thing I teach is that holistically we got the physical body, so I just point physical here. We got the emotional body, we got the mental body, and we have the spiritual body. Okay? So those are the main four bodies that energetically and spiritually we all always have it together. And when I say a paradox, so our the first paradox that I tap into is this notion that we are a human being. Why they don't call us a human being? Because a human being is made out of both the physical and the spiritual aspect of life. And anything that is physical is actually metaphysical that's been condensed. Okay? So then from this paradox, I go into this, what are the common energy levels that we have? So then we talk about energy. And energy has three main components. We have the physiological energy that turns into what we know as ATP, that's the food and water we drink. The energy that we pick up, we put it in our physical body. The second form of energy is this energy that we pick up from each other. I can come and say, oh, Budito, you look so fantastic and handsome today, and all of a sudden, woo, your energy goes up. Or I can say, you know what, Budito, today you're not up to it, what's going on? You look kind of disheveled, and then, woo, energy goes on. So this is a secondary form of energy that is passed between us, okay? So we can go up or down. Okay, and then the tertiary form of energy is the pranic energy or life force energy, pranic energy, or we call this life force energy. And in a lot of the meditations that we do here, I work on the pranic energy through different modalities. Over here we do light meditation, we do japa meditation, we do chakra healing meditations, sound wave meditations, we do hypnotic meditations, we do Reiki. I do Reiki and I do Faradharmony, but each one in its course and different ways. In meditation, part of the healing, and then as part of teaching. So when I go into life force energy, we talk about the chakra systems. So we have 7 main chakra systems. We start from the root chakra, which is all the way on the bottom. The color is red. And then we have the second chakra, which is the sacral chakra. The color is orange. Then we have the third chakra, which is a solar plexus chakra. I do a lot of work on the solar plexus, right? And the color is yellow. Then the most important thing is the heart chakra. The color is green. That's the fourth chakra. Now, usually the way I teach chakra is like take your human anatomy at the level of the heart. Anything below, those are the main physical chakras that takes the higher energies and in manifestation coagulates it into creation. And then above the heart chakra is anything that goes for the metaphysical spiritual notion, which goes the throat chakra is blue, right? The color is blue. And then we have the first eye chakra. They call it third eye. It's a misnomer. It's the first eye chakra. It's the point between your eyebrows. That's kind of like purple violet. And then at the end we got the crown chakra, and the crown is golden white. I like to look at it as golden white. I don't see the chakra colors. Some people have that capacity, but there's an instrument that can see through the aura and the energy vortices. What are chakras? Chakras are just energy vortices that are picking up the pranic energy and distributing it into our entire physical and cellular consciousness. And that's golden white. Okay, so I go through the chakras and I explain that, and then we do some healing. Then what I do is I talk about this thing that we call feelings. And when I say feelings, I bring the whole thing of what is an emotion. A lot of people stall. Oh, emotions are feelings, or it's how we go up and down, blah, blah, blah. But emotions, in my context, is nothing more than energy in motion. Because holistically, when we come back, everything ends up as being energy. And then another thing that I talk about is what are thoughts. And everybody says, oh, we have this kind of, we have negative, positive thoughts. We have all kind of, we tap into different frequency of thoughts, but we don't really understand what a thought is. And the way I've learned and describe it is a thought is a unit of mental energy. And then when we look at this, we're like, okay, now we have energy and energy. So at the level of the mental body, emotional body, we got energy going on. At the physical body, we got energy going on. So what happens at the metaphysical or spiritual body, we'll get there. So after that, I'll talk about the schematic of what is the nature of our reality. This is from Fardamani, also Tahari. And the best thing that has helped me in replicating this idea, and it works for me and for my clients, is that we live in a paradoxical universe. The way I show it is the circle with a cross in the middle. You have a negative and a positive charge here, and then we have another circle on the top. Now I put two stick figures in there, and this pretty much explains a lot of the nature of our reality. How? Well, the first circle shows the way we depict it is this is our higher self. There's many different names for it, and what I like mostly is our soul, higher self, source, Tao. Doesn't matter. These are all synonymous. It's something that you kind of know we're tapped into, but when it comes to our thought, as it comes to our thought, it's like, I can't really grab it. It's kind of like water. You can't grasp water. If you just hold it and you relax into it, then you can hold water in your hand. If you keep on trying to hold water, it just spills all over the place. Kind of like tapping into our higher self. And then this little guy is sitting in this circle that is divided by positive negatives. This is positive negative charge. So we say here's the positive charge, and then we got the negative charge. Or we can say this is negative network of consciousness or positive network of consciousness. And the way I like to look at it is here. We got the positive charge, like the cathode of a battery, positive, and then we got the anode outside of the battery, which is a negative charge. It's like in your car, when your battery goes dead, you got the positive negative charge, and boom, you put the electricity on. So here's our positive frequency or positive network of consciousness, here's a negative frequency, negative network of consciousness. And at all level, what's happening is that our higher self and our human self, the physical self, these two are always in touch with each other. There is not a single time that we are not connected to our higher self or source. So what happens that we become disconnected? I'll explain that. So let me show you the nature of our universe. This universe that we are in, obviously we are in multiple different frequencies and phases, but this physical aspect, and what I teach is principles that connect human ontology, behavior, psychic behavior, physiological behavior, and spiritual behavior, is that the nature of this, our reality, is duality. Duality means that there is a split, there's a positive and negative charge at all times. So in our nature, whenever you start observing nature, there's always that opposing pole, okay? Or we can call this a bipolar universe, okay? So if this is a bipolar universe and it's depicted as positive negative, also we have the unipolar, a non-polar unipolar phase, and that's how we like to say that's where our higher self is. It's in a full circle, it's not divided, and because it's not divided, it is whole, perfect, and complete. And one of the main affirmations that I use right off the bat to get people more grounded and less of the ego taking over their mental energy is the affirmation, I am whole, perfect, and complete. And I also use this affirmation, I love and trust myself. These are the two main affirmations right away that I utilize for my clients because these are very much grounding affirmations. So what happens is when you start repeating and you slow down the mind chatter, the Buddhists call it monkey mind, what happens is the ego, which is over here, the ego is what is creating this split in our reality or this division where I look at myself separated from Buddha sitting here. I'm looking myself separated as objects that are floating in the universe. It's my mind or my mind's identification with a thought. That's what an ego is. And the ego really, what it does, it follows this very, very, very specific law that later on in my lectures, in my work with clients, I talk about the law of contrast. And this law of contrast is so important to recognize and to see that the reason why we have this dichotomy is because of the law of contrast. And then I'll go on and say there is 4 levels of contrast where I am having challenges and conflict with myself. So it goes me versus me. And then I'm conflicting with others. It's me versus others. And then another level of contrast is me and nature. So whatever is happening outside of my inner experience, we call that nature. And finally is I'm having conflict and contrast, me versus my creator, or you can call it God or whatever you want to call it. So this law of contrast basically follows the law of gravity. Anytime I throw this pen up and down, by nature, by the law of gravity, it's going to come down. I could do this 1,000,000 times and it's going to fall down 1,000,000 times. So you could be anywhere in your life experience. You could be 10, 30, 40, 60, 70, 90, and 100. As long as you're breathing, you are subject to the law of contrast. And we can call this either contrast, I can call it conflict, or I can call it problems. Why? Because there is not a single human being right now on the planet that is living in this paradigm who doesn't have a conflict. The only difference is that as we overcome and observe and
see a conflict or contrast, we go from one paradigm into the next paradigm. So the way our challenges starts transmuting itself is by increasing our capacity to be able to download more higher energy and to increase our capacity to up-level our frequency, and B is through forgiveness, letting go, clearing all the other contrasts that we've picked up through our experience from the past into the moment. So that's this is I always come back to this figure. I always, and every time I go through it, I'll start getting my client into a different version and a vision of what we can tap into. Okay, so that's with the metaphysical aspect that we go pretty much in a lot of details. Now, when it comes to nutrition and physiological guidance, I always say, you know what, take anything that comes, any food that has a mother, basically, take a third or 2/3 out of your diet. So what are the foods that have mother, anything poultry or dairy, these are everything, and they comes from something that has a mother. So you take a third out, and anything that comes from the ground or it's taking light energy, sunlight energy, take a third in. So I like the third in, okay? And then from there, whether it's like for a second session, I talk about how to do weight release and not use weight loss, because anytime we lose something, subconsciously we are looking for it, but if we do something that we are letting go of, a release, then you maintain your weight. So this is basically just in a nutshell how I deal physiologically. I always inspire people to increase their cardio and increase yoga, and absolutely go to nature and do your thing. Don't go to gyms and out, closed areas. Connect yourself to energy of the elements of nature. Sunlight, beach. I love hiking. I love trees. I'm very connected to all of them. So, energy of nature. And then, but now, one thing is really important. Let's go to the mind. One of the most important things is how we think. So, how we think is a process of question and answer. The way we think is by formulating a question in our thoughts. So, anytime I want to, you're looking at yourself, you're thinking, and you're like, oh, I gotta do this, what did I have last night, what should I do in the future? The process of thinking follows question and answer format. So thoughts that are units of mental energy, and then we could say, well, definitely we have positive thoughts and negative thoughts. Positive thoughts are thoughts that are empowering, okay? And then we got negative thoughts that are disempowering. And the way negative thought shows up is negative questions that we constantly, subconsciously ask yourself straight up from the time we wake up. One of it is, what am I going to do today? How am I going to make money? What if this is going to happen today and I can't make it? What if I'm late to my work? It's always a negative thought is doing something in a why question. And when we have a why question, our minds immediately goes into answering whatever you ask it. So if you're asking a disempowering question and your mind is ready to start giving you a disempowering answer, it will do that. So if you ask yourself a lousy question, a why question, why did this happen to me when I was a kid? Why was I not good enough when other kids were thriving? When you ask a disempowering question, your subconscious and your conscious mind goes into the memory bank and data where you have supporting reasons, supporting ideas, and supporting elements to answer that disempowering question. And once you do that, you will reinforce the same disempowering question, and that energy, what happens is it starts coagulating and driving the vortex downwards, rather than asking an empowering question: how can I turn my life around? What can I do in order to feed my soul? How can I expand myself in order to tap into higher frequency? How can I stay in gratitude, more in love, peace? How can I change my physiology, up level my energy, so that I can give, share, and be on purpose in life? These are empowering questions that will take you, instead of vortexing your energy down, it will go upwards, and it will expand you as a human being. And the higher your energy level, the more chances that you will start looking in this direction, which is towards light and love, rather than coming from the opposing pole, which is from fear and darkness. Okay? So that's that. That's at the level of the mind. I have people, stating their questions that they normally ask themselves, and what I do, I change it into positive, empowering questions, and I formulate what I call affirmations. Now, what an affirmation is stating what is factual for yourself. So, an affirmation is a positive statement for declaring what is true for your reality. And the way we perceive ourselves, our perception creates our reality. So an affirmation is putting on a corrective lens in front of an eye that is being occluded by the contrast of the ego, and the affirmation basically pulls you up, takes you to the level of unconditional love, which is at the level of the higher self, and starts dissolving the contrast of the ego into unipolar identities. That's what an affirmation is. And one of my favorite affirmation is I am love, and I also say I am light. So I am reinforcing the nature of my true self, which is love and light, who's coming from over here. And that's what an affirmation is. And finally, because I'm running out of room here, I don't want to delete this stuff, is I'm huge on intention. And a main book that I always recommend is The Power of Intention by Dr. Wayne Dyer. Dr. Wayne Dyer is my guru. I love him. I've studied him, and I studied everything he studied. So I just recently got a really amazing compliment by this new lady. She came and she goes, Dr. Rod, if I wanted to have a personal one-on-one session with Dr. Wayne Dyer, I think I found it. And she told me that, I just melted. I'm like, wow, that is a very, very high compliment. So, and then she goes, I truly mean it. After you gave me the first initial consult and went over to saw, I feel like I'm talking with Dr. Wayne Dyer. Like, wow, that's good. That's how I'm hitting the right notes. Power of intention. Intention is not about doing, it's about our beingness. But we can look at it in two different ways. We can look at it as intention from a physical aspect, or we can see it as a spiritual aspect. And I draw this, boat and how we go from point A to B, where I bring out the concept of time, space, contrast within our intention, and how we can recognize it as part of the whole. So through physical intention and spiritual intention, we are becoming whole, perfect, and complete. Also, we can look at it from a yin-yang position, where there's always a feminine energy in a male energy, and there's always a female energy in a male energy. I mean, the male energy into female energy. So the white, I call it female, the black, I call it male energy, and then the yin-yang also describes how we utilize the power of intention, meaning that before I get out into the world, I tap into my being. Once I tap into my being, then I go into my doing. And once I bring that being behind my doing, now I get to have what I initially intended in frequency and consciousness. Now I'm able to manifest it into creation. So from physical and spiritual, we go into the balance of energy, and then this concept of, tapping into my being first, and then go into my doing, and then finally having. The way most people on our planet are, their paradigm is that it's backwards. People are striving to have first, and then they push. First they're doing, pushing. This it's never good enough. More is better, and then they start accumulating, which is all part of the ego. Having, nothing wrong with having things, but killing yourself in order to have the money, in order to have the big house, and going into debt, and always being off balance. And then finally they say, you know what, once I have it, now I can be happy or be content. And that's getting it backwards. First you be it, then you do it, and finally you have it. And over here for Buddhito, I'm going to write this. This is the process of manifestation. So you'll have it. Manifestation comes from a thought. We call it a sponsoring thought. That's the first step. And how you tap into a sponsoring thought? Meditation. My favorite style of meditation is japa, which is the I am, and finding the gap. A thought. The second step is agreement with your thought. You gotta agree, that's an internal. And then you have to have your conversation around your thought, both silent and outward. When you say you have a conversation outward, that's an affirmation. Okay? So I agree with the thought, conversation with thought. This is very important. This is happening at the level of the throat chakra. So think before you say something, because when you say something and you put your I am before that subject, it becomes flesh. Word becomes flesh. That's the word of God. So conversation with thought also follows this I am nature of us, which you have to be careful what comes after I am. A positive energy, I am empowered, I am powerful, I'm successful, I'm loving, caring, beautiful, or I am lousy, I'm depressed, I'm sad, I'm always I'm in fear, I'm always in debt. That will create more of the same energy that you're trying to get away. So it's counterproductive. You have to be very careful how to use your I am at this level of manifestation. Conversation with the thought, and then after that it becomes to choices. Choices is right here. I'm stuck in dichotomy in every moment of my life. I have a positive choice or not a very positive choice. And then what happens is through my choices, I make action, and from action, I create a result. And a lot of people think that, spiritual practice is just sit down and chill out and bliss out and meditate and everything's gonna come. It's just like that over here. You give 100% to your meditation, japa, agreement with the thought, and you do what you have to do. You go into your cave and you go within, always go within first. And then once you set up your mindset and your energy, boom, you put it into your action and results. Okay? It takes two to tango. You gotta do the spiritual intention and the physical intention. You gotta do your being first and then doing next. You can't just sit around and say, you know what, I'm just being, but forget about doing. Or I just do. Well, you'll be miserable if you just do and you put your being in the back burner. You miss anything? I think that's pretty much it.
You got it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So here, this is spiritual life coaching, which includes physiological understanding of quantum reality, where waves are, through our observation, we particularize waves in the quantum field, and when we take our perception away, we we get out of the particle and the wave remains. And that comes, I love this quote by Dr. Windar: when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When through your perception you start changing your quantum reality through your mental body, the thing you're looking at will literally change. Why? Because our perception creates our reality. And that's all she wrote. Namaste. Thank you, Budito. Do you want to say something? Yeah?
Yeah, that was good.
You good?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Alright. Good. Shut it off. Adios.